If there was ever a practice capable of rewiring your brain's attention system, this may be it. A simple 17-minute exercise, quiet, internal, completely free, has shown in research to permanently improve focus, reduce mind wandering, and even counter symptoms of ADHD. The most fascinating part: it works for children, adults, and even those who don't typically struggle with attention. Just one session creates measurable improvements, and the effects last. Before revealing what this tool is, let's understand why attention fails in the first place. Most people assume distraction happens because of lack of effort or willpower, but neuroscience paints a different picture. Our attention system is constantly flickering. We focus intensely on one thing, and in doing so, our brain blindly filters out everything else. This is known as an attentional blink, a momentary lapse where your brain ignores incoming information simply because it's overly locked onto something else. People with ADHD experience far more attentional blinks, not necessarily because they lack focus, but because their brain bounces between hyperfocus and distraction too rapidly. Interestingly, even people without ADHD experience this effect constantly. For example, when you're searching for a friend in a crowd, you might completely miss someone waving beside you. When you're scrolling on your phone, someone could speak your name and you wouldn't hear it. When you're locked into a task, your brain may discard vital signals, like hunger, time awareness, or emotional cues. So the problem isn't always lack of attention, it's untrained attention. And here comes the breakthrough. Neuroscientists found that practicing interoception, a type of focus that directs attention inside rather than outside, dramatically reduces attentional blinks. Interoception is simply paying attention to your internal sensations, like breath, heartbeat, or body tension, not in a spiritual or mystical sense, but as a neural exercise. Think of it as strength training for your attention circuits. Just 17 minutes of guided interoceptive practice was enough to create lasting improvements in focus, even after a single session. Participants were better at filtering distractions, shifting focus deliberately, and staying mentally present. This isn't about meditation or emptying your mind. It's more like tuning your brain's radar, training it to detect both internal and external signals more accurately, instead of crashing between overfocus and drift. The implications are massive. Students retain information better. Athletes improve reaction speed and situational awareness. Professionals enter deep work faster. Individuals with ADHD experience more control without stimulants. Anyone drowning in notifications and multitasking gains clarity without quitting technology. So the real question is, what would your life look like if your mind actually obeyed your intentions? If focus wasn't forced, but expanded naturally? The science is clear. Attention is not just a skill, it's a muscle. And interoception may be the gym. For years, people assumed that individuals with ADHD simply couldn't focus. But that's not entirely true. In fact, they can focus, sometimes with incredible intensity, especially on things they're deeply interested in. So the real problem isn't a lack of attention. It may actually be too much of it in the wrong place. Emerging research suggests that those with ADHD might experience more frequent attentional blinks, tiny gaps in awareness that occur when the brain overfocuses on one thing and unintentionally blocks out everything else. It's not that their minds are scattered. It's that their focus locks onto one stimulus so tightly that other information doesn't register. This leads to what appears as distractibility, but in reality, it's misplaced hyperfocus. That idea alone is powerful because it flips the narrative from broken attention to misdirected attention. And that means attention is trainable. This should be exciting, not only for those with ADHD, but for anyone who struggles to maintain consistent focus. Because it suggests that improving attention isn't just about forcing discipline. It's about expanding awareness. What's needed is a cognitive skill known as open monitoring. It's a mental state where you're aware of everything without clinging to any one thing. Instead of laser focusing on a single point, your attention opens up like a wide-angle lens, taking in broader sensory input without judgment. Traditionally, open monitoring is associated with advanced meditators, people trained in practices like vipassana or open gaze meditation, where instead of closing their eyes, they soften their vision and absorb their surroundings without reacting. Monks use it to cultivate deep clarity and emotional stability. But here's the best part. You don't need years of spiritual training or retreat centers to access this state. There's a simpler, science-backed method grounded in how your visual system works. Neuroscience reveals that the human visual system operates in two primary modes. Focal vision, narrow, targeted attention, like reading or searching. Panoramic vision, wide, open awareness, like looking at a horizon or observing without focusing. By deliberately practicing panoramic vision, softening your gaze, expanding your visual field, and noticing your surroundings all at once, you naturally trigger open monitoring in the brain. This reduces anxiety, decreases attentional blinks, and trains your mind to maintain awareness without getting trapped in hyperfocus. In other words, you don't fix distraction by forcing focus. You fix it by retraining attention to be flexible rather than binary. Not on or off, but open and adaptive. And that might be the missing key to true mental control. Not control by force, but control through awareness. When you're extremely focused or excited about something, your mind enters what could be called a soda straw view, a narrow tunnel of attention. You lock onto one thing so intensely that everything else fades from awareness. That's high focus, yes, but it also means you're missing a lot. Fortunately, your brain isn't limited to that narrow mode. There's another built-in ability called panoramic vision, and you can access it right now without any tools or special training. Try this. Without moving your eyes, become aware of everything in your visual field. Notice the ceiling above you, the floor below, objects to your far left and right. Even if someone is directly in front of you, you can soften your gaze so you're not staring at one thing, but rather absorbing everything at once. That simple shift activates a different neural pathway in your visual system. While focused vision relies on one stream of processing, panoramic vision uses another, one that's not only wider, but has a faster frame rate, meaning it processes information in real time much more efficiently. This allows for better awareness, quicker reactions, and reduced stress. The best part? You can train this system, regardless of whether you have ADHD or not. Learning to dilate your gaze consciously, switching between narrow focus and open awareness, is surprisingly easy. You don't need perfect eyesight, contact lenses, or meditative expertise. You just need intention, and there's science behind it. Recent studies have shown that even a short 15-minute practice, where subjects sit quietly with their eyes closed, engaging in a calm, open monitoring state similar to meditation, can rewire attentional circuits in the brain. Just one session led to measurable improvements in sustained focus and reduced attentional lapses. Why does this work? Because panoramic vision isn't just visual, it's neurological control. When your gaze opens, your nervous system shifts from fight or flight into calm alertness. Your body stops bracing. Your breathing slows. Your awareness expands. It's like stepping out of mental chaos and into clarity. In essence, narrow vision equals intense focus but high stress. Panoramic vision equals balanced focus with calm awareness. Mastering both and switching between them consciously might be one of the most powerful mental skills you'll ever develop. And it starts with something as simple as looking without staring. Most people assume that powerful cognitive training requires complicated routines or months of disciplined practice. But astonishingly, one of the most transformative tools for enhancing focus, perhaps permanently, takes only 17 minutes and requires nothing except stillness and awareness. In a recent set of studies, participants were asked to sit quietly with their eyes closed, not to force themselves into any special emotional state, not to visualize anything, not even to meditate in the traditional sense. Their only task was simple: observe their breathing and stay connected to their internal sensations, known as interoception. If their mind wandered, they gently brought it back. No judgment, no pressure, just awareness. You might assume such a basic exercise wouldn't do much. Yet the results were extraordinary. After just one 17-minute session, participants showed a significant reduction in attentional blinks. Those milliseconds of missed information when the brain temporarily blacks out due to cognitive overload. In plain terms, their ability to focus improved dramatically, and the effects lasted well beyond the session. This wasn't limited by age or diagnosis. Whether someone was young, elderly, diagnosed with ADHD, or entirely neurotypical, the improvements were consistent. Even more exciting, scientists are now studying whether this simple interoceptive practice can slow down age-related cognitive decline, particularly the erosion of working memory and sustained attention. Why does it work? Because reducing external sensory input while heightening internal awareness recalibrates the brain's attentional networks. By temporarily closing the floodgates of visual data, the brain recovers bandwidth. It learns to detect subtle internal signals and, in doing so, becomes more precise when processing external ones. Pair this with panoramic vision training, the deliberate expansion of your visual field to include everything in your periphery, and you unlock a two-part system. Interoception restores calm, stability, and attentional endurance. Panoramic vision sharpens environmental awareness and reaction speed. Even more compelling, these tools don't require repetition to work. Unlike most mental training, which demands weeks of consistency, this method produces benefits after just one session and continues to deliver results whenever repeated. You don't have to become a monk. You don't need incense, music, or profound spiritual intent. All it takes is sit, close your eyes, feel your breath, notice your body, bring your mind back when it drifts. 17 minutes. Once. If there was ever a brain upgrade hiding in plain sight, this is it. A free, portable, scientifically backed reset button for your attention, available to everyone, anytime.